Well, hello. It's been a fantastic day because God is in control. And so I'm really glad to come and share again on this, I believe it's the seventh day of the 30-day nonprofit challenge. And I am excited to have an amazing coach by the name of Jennifer Yarborough, who's really been helping me just figure out how to do all this in a way that is with excellence. And so I'm excited about that. My name is Anita Gibson. I am a coach, speaker, and educational strategist. And tonight, the title of this video is If Parents Don't Read, Then Their Children Won't Either. And so I know that's you're kind of going, something to think about, huh? Because when we don't like something as a parent, we may not say to that child that we don't, but there are little subtle things that we'll say that will let them know, I got to read that. It'll be just little things, little cues that'll let that parent know, or let that child know, oh, they really don't like to read. And so we've been talking about reading and these third grade boys and how they're building prisons for them. And so I'm helping you as a parent. I want to come and share some strategies that can help make sure that all the children in your home are reading and enjoying reading. And the key or the start to all of that is as the parent must be a reader. Hey, doesn't mean that you have to be one or you have to enjoy it now. It just means you have to have a willingness to change if that's you. If you're struggling with reading, you can be honest about that because there is hope and there is some help. So let me share a story with you. So when I was a young mother, I was terrified of bugs and crickets in particular. And we lived in a townhouse that every fall, when the weather changed, the crickets started coming in the house. And we tried our best to block up any holes that we could see, or I don't know when those jokers got in the house. I think it was like as maybe the kids would open the door and here a cricket would come. Well, I'm terrified of crickets. So I would just go off. They're making noises, they're hopping around and I'm screaming and until one day I turned around and I saw my 2-year-old freaking out like I was freaking out. And I realized immediately that I had to stop. I had to calm myself down because I was actually creating fear in her. And so I asked the Lord for supernatural strength. And I was able that day, you're not going to believe this. I was able that day, instead of calling my husband, come help, get the cricket, I was able to go over to where the cricket was, scoop it in my hands so that I wouldn't crush it. And I was, kids, open the door. And I threw the cricket outside because I realized that how I responded was having impact for my child. And so the same is with the reading. Now, I will tell you, because I caught that finally with her, unfortunately, she'd already seen mom freaking out with the bugs. She actually grew up, unfortunately, and she's afraid of bugs. So our oldest is a foreign service officer, and she was in Togo, Africa on one of her assignments. And we get this phone call one night. Mom, there's a bug in my room, and he's big. She's in Africa, and I'm in Maryland. And I'm like, oh gosh, Lauren, I'm so sorry, but what can I do? I don't know what to do. I can't go to sleep. And she was just freaking out. And I remembered that when she was 2, that's what I was doing. I was freaking out because of the cricket. And so even as an adult, she still struggles with that. She's gotten better though. She's kind of faced her fear. But her sister after her and her brother after her, they have no fear of insects. And I'm convinced it's because I decided to get control of that thing and no longer was afraid of bugs around them. And so the same thing goes with the reading. You have to be doing what you want to see them doing. So if they're struggling with reading, and you are struggling with reading, then y'all guys, you got to come together to work that thing out. Because if they see you begin reading, it will then begin to say to them, well, maybe this reading thing is important. So if you don't like to read, it's okay. But be willing to say, okay, I'm going to figure this thing out. So you start small. You find some things to read that you have an interest in. You just maybe read just a chapter. Just commit to a page. Just start off with something that you're going to do on a consistent basis. Now, let me tell you a secret. Are you listening? If you ever want your family to become a reading family, you have to figure out how to turn off the TV and how to turn off the electronics, because the competition is too stiff. And if it's reading versus my video games, reading versus, what's on the internet, reading versus TV, which one do you think is going to win? You're right, it's not going to be the reading. But you can't walk into the house and say, I realize that we need to read more in our family, so you can't watch TV, because you just set up a battle right there. And they're going to fight you on that tooth and nail. So you have to be wise. So what you have to do is you have to let your kids know that we're going to be doing this on Sunday, or we're going to be doing that on Saturday, or we're going to be going to the library and you can check out 5 books about whatever you want that you think is interesting or that you want to learn about. Or we're going to a book fair and I'm going to buy you 2 books. So you find a way to get the idea of books and book reading exciting. And then whatever, they buy a couple and you buy a couple. And then when you come home, you say, come on, you don't turn anything on. You put down your phone. And then you say, so come on, let's do some reading now. And then when they finish, so what did you get out of it? And what did you get? Man, every day that we read, we're going to go to get, at the end of the week, we'll get ice cream if we've read at least 10 pages. So you have to find creative ways. And then after we've read, then we can go turn on the TV or play with the electronics. But you have to do it in a way that it's not a battle between the two, because the reading has to become more interesting. So you're reading books to them that they enjoy. Or you're reading books to them that are exciting. Or you're having them listening to audio books. So you actually have to invest time in how do we make reading interesting, because reading is the foundation to all learning. And so as I want my child as a parent to do better at the reading, I have to make sure that I'm doing the same thing. Because once you're committed to that, and everybody in the house is becoming more engaged, better at reading, it's going to have impact for their academics. So if you have a child who's struggling and you hear them say, I hate to read, or I don't like reading, then you have some work to do. Because reading is the foundation of all learning, you're going to have to find a way to make it more interesting. Does that make sense? Reading is fundamental, and it can be fun, but you have to get serious about it. So just like God was able to give me the strength to do something I never imagined I could do, like actually pick up a cricket in my hands with it bumper popping against my hands and throwing it out the door, because I realized that how I responded was having impact for my child, and I needed them to have a new way of looking at what they feared and what I feared. And because I was willing to do that, I was able to help her. It was a little late for her. She still struggled with it a bit, but even my willingness to happen to, to have impact on that thing when I did, it helped her to be able to finally deal with it and overcome it. So again, my name is Anita Gibson. I am a coach, speaker, and educational strategist, and I want to encourage you, please be a reader. Take the time. Be creative. Turn off the electronics. Find a way to make space in your life for reading. It's very simple, but it's very important. And so I am a coach, a speaker, and an educational strategist. And I love being able to come and share with parents who are determined to be champions for their children. Listen, you can make a difference in your child's life. Whether you have a degree in education or a high school diploma, you can make a difference because no one knows your child better than you do. No one loves your child more than you do. And no one has been better equipped to bless your child because God is the one that gave you them as a gift. So please continue to take care of that gift. All right, guys. Love you. Have a good night. Bye.